report, what is the meaning of this report, and how to implement changes based on the analysis of this report. So this is the room sales versus inventory report, which the analysts here have sent out to the corresponding regions. This is to assist with your pricing strategy templates for each resort. What this is showing is the percentage of sales from each room type versus the percentage of inventory that that room type makes up. And it's really, a great report to see where the percentage of sales are going in each room category. So this is what it looks like when it's finished, and then we're going to start from step 1 in updating this and creating this report. So the first thing you want to, I guess let me delete these real quick. So the first thing you want to do is in vertical booking, start with the room inventory list. So we're gonna find all the rooms and the room codes for your resort. So in vertical booking, if you come to your resort, you sign into vertical booking, you select your resort, and then you come into this setup over here, and you click on rooms/apartments. And this page will show you, in vertical booking, the name of the room code, and how many rooms there are. So if you just highlight, you can just highlight with your mouse and just do a simple copy. And we'll paste it into the room type tab. It comes up as this blue color. If you can't read it, you can always just change the fill. Now, sometimes some of these cells are a little off here. What you can do is you can just delete this row here. We really only need just the room code, the room name, and the number of rooms that they have. So you can delete these other columns that we don't need. So we can just delete those. So what's left here is the room code, the room name, and the inventory. So that is, pulled from vertical booking. That's what's live on vertical booking with all of our connected partners. So this is, true information. The next thing that you want to do is copy this into our overall summary tab. It's called inventory, but this is basically, the summary of the report. So we'll just copy these guys into here, and you can see that there are formulas over here that are live. So once we copy it, it'll pull directly over. So let me highlight these room codes. And you can just paste them, as well as the room names. And so this information is just pulled over here, just so that everything, matches what the names are. There's already the formulas there for you guys. The next step is to copy over the inventory. So this is just the number of rooms. I'm sure you guys are well aware, and you know each resort, how many rooms they have. So if any of this information isn't matching, that would be something that we'd want to bring up to the marketing team to have that updated on vertical booking and the distribution team as well. So now that we have the room codes and the room names in, the next step would be to get the actual data. So again, we're going into vertical booking. The reason why we use vertical booking rather than EasyRMS is just with some of the discrepancies in EasyRMS, we want true data. So what vertical booking is showing is all of the direct segment as well as all of the connected partners. So you do get a good percentage of total production. We have Expedia connected, Best Day, some of the other USA OTAs, as well as all of the direct reservations. So if you come again into vertical booking and go to reservations and then click on reservations, it'll take you to this page here. Again, make sure you're on your resort. This display area is where you select what you want to see. So we do want to click on a few things over on the, see how it says fields not shown and shown fields. So we do want to add some fields over to the shown field side. So some of the fields that we want to add are the nights. By just clicking on the plus sign, it'll add it over. So now this is changed to 11. The average daily price, the product, and the room. Those are the 4 that you want to add over. You can, take away some over here. It's just based on preferences. We don't really need the person's name or the code, but we can just leave them in there for now. The next section is the start date and the end date. You could do this for an individual month. You may not have a lot of sales, but you certainly can. I always recommend to do at least a year, whether it be a year in the past or all of 2017, whatever period of time that you want to run the analysis for. This is where you would select the start date and end date. So we'll do January 1st to December 31st of 2017. It's a nice, a year's worth of data. So that's where you can start date and end date. And then the channel, we want to leave it as all. So what this will do, it'll pull data from all of these down below. These are all of our connected partners, all of our direct booking channels. So once you have all those selected, you want to come down here to hit display. You don't have to change anything down here. These will all just remain the same. It's only this section here and the start date and end date. And again, I got to this page by going to reservations on the side and then clicking on reservations again. So while that's running, just wanted to give a recap of what this page is. So now that it's ran, you can see here we have a total of 5,500 reservations. Out of those 5,500, 1,028 were canceled. So this is just a quick recap to show that the report ran, and here's just a quick summary of the whole report. So we're going to come down here and click on Excel, and it'll ask you to save it, on your desktop or whatever folder you want to save it in. So we'll just call it. So now it's exported into an Excel document. I'm going to open that up. So here's the report that we just got from Vertical Booking. Again, you can see the customer's name, the code, the status, the channel, arrival date, departure, the nights. These are all the things that we added up here. So there's all these shown fields here, or all these, this is the first row. So again, we don't really need the customer's name, but you can leave it in there if you want. But here's all the channels that we get all the information from. So you can see here it's a good mix of different OTAs and some of the main players. So it is a good percentage of the production. We have Booking.com, Expedia. A lot of resorts get production from all these sites, so we can still see a good picture of the analysis and determine if a room type isn't producing as well. So these are all the channels. If any of the DOSs or GMs or any of the sales managers are wondering where this data is coming from, here's an example of the list that it's pulling from. So the first step is we want to take away all of the cancellation bookings because we don't want to include them into our analysis. So by going, this is the area to tell if it's canceled or not. So the OK means that there was nothing changed about the reservation. The M stands for modified. It still was, there was a change, but they still visited the resort. And then the X stands for cancellation. So we want to filter out all of the X's. So if you go into Excel underneath status and click on filter, it'll bring up a drop-down arrow, and you can click on here and click on all the X's and all these XMs. XM means it was modified, and then they decided that they wanted to cancel it as well. So you may have some XMs too. So you want to just check mark the X and the XM and hit OK. So this will only bring up the canceled reservations. So now we want to delete these reservations from our total reservations by just highlighting each row and right-clicking on delete row. This will delete the data from the data dump. So we can just unfilter, and now we can copy this over into our room sales versus inventory template. So by just selecting all the columns and holding down Control-C, you can come into this tab called Data Dump and paste. So now this is cleaned up data of all of the connected partners and the direct segment from vertical booking. And it has the room codes over here. So you can see what room type they booked and from what channel. So now that we have all of the data into our backup file, we're going to come into this tab called Pivot. So this pivot table is reading from this data dump tab from A to M. And what it will do is it'll count how many times each room code appears. So if you come into pivot table, you'll just have to hit refresh on the pivot table, right click and hit refresh, and it'll refresh the pivot table. So you can see here that this pivot table, let me move this guy. This pivot table is pulling from the data dump tab. So out of all of this data, you can see what percentage, or I'm sorry, what actual number. So for example, there was 263 reservations in the run of the house room category. So if I was to just filter the run of the house room category, I could manually count, 203. Or we have this pivot table that does it for us. So here's all the run of the house. If I was to add them up, it would be 263. If I was to individually count how many reservations there would be 263. So just a little background on the pivot table. So all you have to do after you paste it into the data dump is right click and hit refresh, and then this will refresh. So now that those two steps are done, we pasted in the data and we pasted in the room names and the room codes, and we've hit refresh on the pivot table. We can now come back into our inventory tab, and you can see if there isn't any. So this row right here is looking up off of the pivot table tab. So what it's looking for is the room code. So if the room code isn't appearing in here, that means that there's just no sales from that particular room type from the connected partners or the direct segment. So you can just manually enter in 0 if there isn't any sales coming through. And then you'll see here that this 4,480 matches our grand total of 4,480. That's just a way to check to see if this this column is adding up correctly. They should match these two numbers. So again, here we have our room code and our room type, how many number of rooms there are, and then this is the number of sales that each room type has. And then these two columns here are showing you what percentage of the sales are from. So for example, the deal of the day, the run of the house, the 263 is 6% of this 4,480. So if we were to divide 263 divided by 4,480, we would get 6%. And then this column here is showing you the percentage of inventory, saying that this Junior Suite Tropical View, there's 93 rooms. So 93 divided by 425 is 22%. That's where those numbers are coming from. So it's saying that this Junior Suite Tropical View makes up 22% of the total inventory, the 100%. So it's not necessarily actual sales. You didn't have 22 sales. It's 22% out of the total number of inventory. So then the next section is the ADR. So what we'll use for the ADR is EasyRMS. In EasyRMS, you can run reports by room types. So by coming, well, first you want to select the resort that you're looking at. The one thing that you always want to keep in mind is to have the same date range. So back in vertical booking, if you wanted to just look at a particular, say if you wanted to do January to April, you just want to make sure that you select January to April in EasyRMS as well. So we did January 1st of 2017 to December 31st, 2017. We're going to leave the detail level blanco because we want the total numbers. And then we're going to come down here to our main analysis and select room ADR. And then in dimension, we're going to select room type. So what this will do is it'll show us our ADR for the year from January 1st to December 31st by room types. And then you hit apply. And then we're going to paste this into the ADR tab on the room sales versus inventory report. So to copy this from EasyRMS, you want to click on these three dots and hit copy data to clipboard. And it'll copy it to your clipboard. You can open up the room sales versus inventory, go into the ADR tab. Let me delete this since this was already done already. So we're just going to paste it into the ADR tab. And then you can come back into the inventory tab and these will, let me see. So we want to look up MSKO. For some reason the VLOOKUP got erased. ADR A to C and go over. All right. So you can paste it into the ADR tab, and this this VLOOKUP will look for the room code inside this ADR tab and go over 3. So it'll pull what the ADR is. For ones that show up as NA, they're just made. It's typically the run of the house, where in EasyRMS it may be called something else, or they may not have one in their system. So in cases like that, I would just recommend to use whatever the lowest ADR is that we have, because that's typically what the run of the house would be. So the reason that these two were not showing up was because it wasn't finding the code in this column here. So that's why I just went back to find out what the low is. So I took the tropical view and applied it to the deal of the day. So then the next step, so these are all your ADRs for each room type. The next step would be to input the room supplements. So this information is taken from the pricing strategies that you guys were helping the resorts complete. So I have Secret Taco Mall open right here. So you want to come down to this section. I'm on the setup page tab in the pricing strategy template. And down here, you'll have the room names along with the room supplements. So we're going to enter in these supplements here for each room type. Now, just to be mindful, there are kings and doubles of each of these room types. So you may have to enter in, 1.05 2 times for both the king and the double. So we can come back here. You can see the, I'll enter them in real quick. So the Junior Suite Tropical View is 1. So we're going to come to the Junior Suite Tropical View and type in 1. I know these guys are less than 1. These are the deal of the days. Junior Street, so you see here how this is Junior Street King Tropical View and Junior Street Double. So again, we're going to still enter in 1. The double partial ocean view, come over here, partial ocean view 1.05. And they have a king and a double of that as well, so we'll enter that in twice. The Ocean View King is 1.06. And again, there is a king and a double of that, so I'll enter it in twice. Junior Suite Swim Out King is 1.09. So what these supplements are is, think of it as a multiplier. So as the room categories get higher, this number will increase, meaning that the price will increase as well. So what this does, this room supplement, it takes the rates that we enter in the pricing strategy and multiplies them by whatever the room supplement is. So if your rate's 100 and you're multiplying it by 1, your rate's going to be 100. If you're multiplying it by 1.1, it'll be 110, and so far and so forth. So this is just pulling from, this is the only section you have to enter in manually from the pricing strategy templates. But let me just finish entering in these supplements. 1.1, 1.1, Ocean View, 1.12, Sweet Ocean View. Swim Out, 1.19. Ocean Front, 1.5. .7, and then I believe this is 2.5, 5. Yep. Okay. So now that we have these contracted supplements in, we can scroll down here, and this graph is pulling all this information above. So this graph is set from D to J. It'll show you the room name along with the room supplement right below it. The blue bar is the percentage of sales, so that's this column here. And the red bar is the percentage of inventory, which is this column here. The reason I selected this resort, I believe this is actually not anybody's that's on this call, but this was a good example of how to have even room sales distributed amongst each room type. So it's showing you that you're still getting you're getting a similar percentage of sales in a similar percentage of inventory. So this is 22% of your total inventory, and we're getting 22% of our total sales. So it's a nice even distribution amongst this one particular room category. And again, this is our highest inventory, so we'd really want to see, a good bit of, the sales coming into this section because we have the most number of rooms in this section. And then the bar across here is just showing you the ADR for each individual room type. So again, it has the name of the rooms along with the supplement below, and then the ADR to show how the ADR reacts amongst the different room types. So those are all the steps to update the template. It's really broken down into about four steps. The first step is getting the data from Vertical Booking, the data and the room names and room codes from Vertical Booking, and then just pulling the ADR from EasyRMS, and then just entering in the supplements, and that should be all. So I'm going to open it up for any questions that you guys may have. You can also use the chat function in the webinar as well. So I'm going to unmute all you guys, and if there's any step that you want me to go back and go over again, I'll be more than happy to. So I'll leave it open for any questions or any discussion. And also all the room sales or inventories reports that we've sent out, you could use them as as a template, and you can just create it, or you can just save it as, if you wanted to see what December 2017 room sales versus inventory look like, you could save it as your resort acronym and December 2017. All the formulas should still be active in those reports that we sent out. Does anybody have any questions on running the reservations report in Vertical Booking? This page here. So the 4 things that you wanted to add over, again, were just the product, the room, the price, and the nights. And I know this is a report that the resorts like to see. They'd like to see how their room types are selling. So this can be, done ad hoc. It could be done, however the GM or the director of sales, how frequent they would like it. It is fairly easy to update and refresh. So it is, again, it is coming from Vertical Booking. So we have all the direct business as well as the connected partners. So it is a good chunk of production. Well, if anybody has any questions later on, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call on my desk phone here. Also available by Skype. But if anybody doesn't have any questions, I guess we can end this webinar, and I'll send out the recording of this so you guys have it for future use. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Peter. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.